one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Smash that like on the way in. Today, we got to talk about major news. Trump tariffs is changing the entire crypto landscape. We are flip-flopping from tariffs are good, tariffs are bad. We don't know what's happening. The tariff deal is closed. Now there's going to be a tariff on the rest of the world. This is breaking news from Trump. Smash that like button. Every day on this channel, we teach you to make money with digital assets. TJ, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling good. How are you doing? It's going to be a crazy week. We watched the European trade deal get done. Everybody took those Sunday night longs, got into some nice profit late last night, early this morning. And then, of course, thinking it's going to be a good week this week, which I still think it will be. But then we get, oh, yeah, we're going to tariff the whole world, too. So get to do that. But we've got FOMC this week. We've got a report, the digital asset Bo Hines report due. So all kinds of big stuff this week.
Yeah, if we look at the Bitcoin price real quick here, this we're going to do the 5-minute candles. Yeah, you can see Bitcoin just on a little bit of a dump here. Let me remove this yellow line so you can just see here from the wee hours this morning. And then you can see basically the moment Trump threatened to tariff the world right there. Bitcoin took another huge leg to the downside, now down about $1,700 over the last 8 hours. We're going to get into it. We got the video from the Trump press conference. Here's the quick quote. We're going to be setting a tariff for the rest of the world, and that's what they're going to have to pay. We got the video clips here. Maybe look at let's go ahead and roll into it. This is the reason your candles are turning red, everybody.
You said you were going to set essentially a tariff for the rest of the world.
For the world.
What percent will that tariff be?
I would say it'll be somewhere in the 15 to 20% range.
So maybe 15 or 20 or?
No, I said, I sort of know, but I just want to be nice. I would say in the range of 15 to 20%.
And I believe that was 40 minutes ago. And
yeah,
you can see the markets are not liking what Trump said about tariffing the rest of the world.
Yeah, well, I like that he's like, yeah, I sort of know, like he knows what the number is, 15 to 20%. He's just trying to be nice. But what do you think it is? You think it's 20%? You think it's 15%? You think it's 17%?
In the Trump persuasion playbook, the best move would be to go with the low number there. So you say like 15 to 20,
and then it comes out as
15.
15.
So maybe people would be quote unquote happy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's probably 15% on the world. So yeah, and right when we look like ETH heading back over 4K, going to be a huge week for Ethereum. Took that nice long. This is why we can't have nice things. So.
Man, tough stuff. Let's look here at the crypto prices here. I just hit refresh. We got the fresh data. Let me add that to the screen. Bitcoin now was up, now down about 0.3% on the day. ETH now down about 0.8%. BNB though, we're going to talk about BNB. We're going to talk about how rich CZ is because he just recently hit a huge benchmark there. BNB is now up 5%. Tron also up. So we're seeing a lot of Asian linked coins on the move up here. Dogecoin down, Cardano's down, Solana inkling a little bit of a green candle there. So let's go ahead and hit the biggest gainers. Still OP and Avalanche still performing relatively well despite the little bit of a drawdown. Optimism with a huge dump in the last hour, now down about 2.5%. But Bonk also still holding on to some green candles. Bonk is now up 4.6. SPX 6900 is also up. And after that, we have a lot of DeFi and just a lot of ecosystem coins here. Big losers, though, from this tariff, this recent turmoil, Curve DAO. Now, Curve is done well for the month, but for the past week, it looks like, a lot of people may be taking some profits here. Caspa's up, down. Pingu is down, Tau down, and Sui down as well. And Sui also with a major dump this past hour there.
Yeah, and Steve-O pointing out, like you just mentioned, AVAX finally waking up. That's been one of our picks lately as one of the...
yeah, we just did a video on Avalanche. So if you want to watch a little something on an Avalanche low-cap altcoin, I talk about Base and I talk about AVAX, and each of those has an altcoin that, looking at DeFi Llama, very, very strong. I wouldn't even say crypto projects. They're strong companies.
Yeah. I mean, the revenue. So we're running a full range USDC black pool on that platform. And I think getting like $600 or $800 a day off that thing. So
Mhm.
full range. So you don't even have to worry about readjusting or balancing or anything.
Yeah, and Black is actually a hard token to purchase. So I literally purchased. I just threw $1,000 into the token. Maybe we'll add some more. We'll see how that price goes. So we are in the black hole ecosystem. We have a little exposure, and that's going to be a token that you see Alex Becker and Elio Trade speaking about a lot for sure.
Yeah. It's gonna be. You're gonna get. You go from being in the red to in the black when you invest in black hole. So
people are saying I should wear a black tie. The red ties are dumping the markets. Well, maybe I wore the red because the markets are dumping.
Have you ever tried a green tie?
Already starting to go scruffy. I have not. I'm not going to do a green tie. It just displays weakness in my mind. I want to get just some. I might just get some classic red ties. I do need to spruce up the ties. Maybe hit them with a little steaming there to de-wrinkle there. But folks, I'm worried about the markets. I'm worried about the charts. I'm not worried about my thread count. Okay, I'm not worried about a wrinkle. I'm worried about this trade tariff deal here. So there's also a good tariff deal that happened. It wasn't just Donald Trump 42 minutes ago, dumping the markets. We also closed a deal with the European Union, and there's a lot of stuff going on this week, as TJ was saying earlier this part. So Bitcoin started strong this morning, 119K, as the bullish momentum continued following a series of milestones and breakthrough trade deals between the U.S. and the European Union. So we did close something. So Trump and the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen announced a framework trade agreement in Scotland that is now setting a 15% import tariff on EU goods, avoiding the previously threatened 30% rate. Now, me and TJ also suggesting the world tariff probably going to be 15%. And I would say add this a little bit to that bean counter. They're probably looking a little bit closer to 15%. It would make sense to match the EU tariff, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So also at the same time, Bitcoin, this is a huge threshold, the realized market cap. This is the measure of the total value based on the last time each coin moved. So when the last coin moved, what was the price? Some ancient whale mining 20,000 Bitcoin when Bitcoin cost, 37 cents. That will count as a 37-cent Bitcoin. Combining all the actual value of the coins last time it moved, we just now passed $1 trillion threshold for the first time, according to Glassnode. So this is a sign Bitcoin is maturing. Let's talk about the rest of the week here. So we have the big trade deal, but other things are happening this week. Number one, in the charts, we're seeing something bullish. Rec Capital said Bitcoin kickstarted a bull flag with its weekly close. Little bit of an addendum here. This was the weekly candle close, I want to say about 12 hours ago. We can actually look here. It closed 14 hours ago. At the time of this article, the weekly candle was green. I have it on the regular candles there. So you can see this bull flag, pin it. Oh, it looks like the bull flag breaking out. These are weekly candles. We're talking about serious time here. We just have now turned the weekly candle red, but still looking pretty bullish. Now, if this were to play out, it'll be the same length of this flagpole. Breakout would give us roughly $137,000 Bitcoin. So we're seeing a little bit of a bull flag pennant. This week's candle is going to have a lot to do if this is going to play out or not. 6 days and 10 hours left on this candle. Also, liquidity expectations. Order book is showing a lot of people getting liquidated at $113,000. Now let's just say go to the 3-day. We throw a horizontal line on 113. The charts will slowly reveal themselves. And I would say that is just going to be this trend line right here. Maybe people expecting little bit, it must bounce around this level. So that would be my expectation there. So what are your feelings on 113K Bitcoin, TJ? Now, one, what will people say, and what do you expect to follow?
What will people say about 113 Bitcoin? Like that it's over, that the top is in, we're going back down to zero, basically? Is that what you're thinking?
80K next.
Yeah, 80K, yeah.
80K, we're going
it's
to 80K.
Over. Yeah, it's so funny. Frank and I were just talking about this. If the price moves like 2%, 3% down, it's all over. The end is in, double top, everybody's going home. If it moves 2 or 3% up, back to 500K, all-time highs, crazy number, crazy price predictions, all that sort of stuff. So 113, is it possible? Absolutely. But I'm seeing insane strength on it. I don't think it's likely. I think maybe we go back down towards 115 and retest if it's an extremely volatile week. But realistically, macro-wise, most of this news is good news. we're coming to the end of most of these deadlines, these 90 days extensions. I think it's in August that most of these extensions should end, and we're going to wrap stuff up. I think we've even got, I was just looking at some odds here from Polymarket for Trump projected to finalize trade deals with China, South Korea, Argentina this month. So looks like odds. Oh, now I lost it. Oh, it linked me. Oh, that was a link. Okay. China 55%, India 22%, Canada 19%, Mexico 20%. So they've got odds on all of these things. I think most of this does mostly end up wrapped up this week. I think the numbers that come out are decent. The sooner we can wrap all of these tariff conversations, the sooner Powell can soften on the Fed rate cutting stance, because he's kind of using this like, well, as long as it's unknown, I don't really know what I can do until this gets locked down. I can't make major moves until we know what to expect. So I think we will get that done throughout the summer. That's basically what I've been saying this whole time. Bull market resumes. So I see your bull flag pennant playing out more likely than going back down into the 112, 113 kind of range. I see a slow climb up to 140 over the next couple months.
130 before 110.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's my bet. Yep.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love the bullishness. I love the energy here. And we also love the super chat. Love the show. Will Arweave hit a new all-time high this bull run or battle royale? Is it going to win the battle royale after it leaves the battle bus? Looking at Arweave, there's a good thing, two, I'll say a bad thing. The good thing is this is an old, I don't even know if I should maybe revisit it, but coins that put in a new all-time high in November of 2021 relative to the April-May pump in 2021, I tend to be a little bit more bullish on. This was showing during the second lays of the bull run, people still had faith in this coin, and we're just dumping it for Tether, dumping it for Bitcoin. The other thing I would say I'm a little bit more leery on is how far is down from the Trump pump. So you can see here, this is the IBIT pump. This is BlackRock Bitcoin ETFs, early part of 2024, had a huge pump. Really hasn't regained any of this. And then you can see the Trump pump right here. We are nowhere even close to where we are during this Trump pump. A lot of the strong altcoins are exceeding this level or exceeding this level or exceeding both these levels. Seeing Arweave so down makes me a little bit down on its relative performance in the future. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a storage play. That's a tough one. You're going to need enterprise solutions, and that's going to be not what you can do. What is your tech? It's probably who do you know? Do you know, a big media company is your cousin, a CTO of Netflix? Then you're going to crush it. It's going to be hard to beat or compete with Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services. Well,
especially when your A looks exactly like the Amazon A. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but
Jeff's pissed.
Yeah. No, I think they did. It's a lot for them is going to come down to marketing. They definitely have awareness. A lot of people are aware of them from the past. They get tied into that AI narrative somewhat, and I think that's the pump we're seeing back in February and late end of last year was those kind of AI pumps. So if they can stay in that kind of consciousness, then I think they have a decent chance to perform. But there's a really high competition. It seems like the market has rotated to more niched down stuff within AI. So I would put it in my mind, I don't know if this is right or not. I hold Near and Arweave in somewhat of a same kind of category of like somewhat strong tech, has good adoption, good awareness, runs when the narrative runs, but you got to make sure that they can stay within it. What's the total market cap on it? I can't really see.
Total market cap is looking at about $500 million. All the tokens are out essentially.
500 million. Yeah, that's not terrible. I mean, it has
pretty low trading volume.
Yeah. See, that's what I would be concerned about. They'd have to get back into, to your point, like if people aren't using it, if you haven't kind of gotten some adoption from an enterprise area, it's going to be hard to justify it. So
yeah, you're going to need to sign a deal like a Mexican telephone company or something.
Looks like Chat has moved on to Walrus as being a good storage coin. So.
I'm a Cardano guy. I like Iagon. They have signed a couple Fortune 500 deals. So they're actually signing deals with some of these publicly traded companies, but some of it's under NDAs. And some of that alpha has been leaked, but then they had to like walk it back and delete some posts. And they're like, no, we haven't not done the deal. We've just now signed an NDA. And we're like, oh, well, that's probably a good thing if you're moving forward with the relationship, yet trying to keep things secret. So let's see here. Other things looking at for the week, though. We also have, we have the bull flag. We got the MVRV trying to make a serious move here. But we also got a lot of things in the week here. Oh, I was on the other article. Powell is going to be speaking on Wednesday, folks. So Powell's going to be delivering a lot of remarks. We're going to get a lot of economic data. After this data, we're going to see a lot of movement in the markets for sure. But the main thing we need to look out also is going to be a lot of earnings reports. There's a lot of tech earnings, and looking at the daily data here, it looks like Q2 GDP is due just hours before the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. So Wednesday, Powell is going to move the markets. Also, the day after, the Fed's quote unquote preferred, I would say, manipulated inflation gauge, personal consumer expenditures index, will also be released. And Kobayashi is the one saying about the corporate earnings continuing to pour in, creating the most data-packed week of the year. So you're going to be locked in. So make sure you're smashing that like button. Let's get us in your algo, and make sure you're following us on YouTube as well, folks. We're putting out content 7 days a week, and we got live content coming to you even more so now. TJ, some people only watch the morning show. What else have we got cooking in the kitchen?
Oh, all kinds of stuff. I mean, obviously we've moved the basement live show to the afternoons here on Discover. So every day you get Drew around 1 p.m. kind of get those hot, spicy basement takes, as well as Josh in the afternoon doing a lot of trades and different, kind of market close and whatever news we miss after the morning that kind of happens throughout the day. Josh will catch you up on at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, as well as uploads every day, shorts every day. So all kinds of good stuff, and even have some ideas. Like I said, we are moving offices, so we're not necessarily rolling anything out new in the next month or so, but have some stuff in the works for some fun, different type of collaborative content with some people you guys might know coming down pretty soon. So stay tuned.
All right, and Disco fam, go ahead and take a victory lap, because we went live a little bit late today, TJ. It was 10:37.
Yeah.
Let's look at Bitcoin on the 1 minute candles.
Hey,
10:37. This candle right here. It was you, Disco fam.
Yeah, we all woke up and went long at the same time and pumped those prices.
Also, I heard every time they smash the like, Bitcoin goes up $1. And so I think that was you guys smashing the like. So go ahead and smash it 3 more times.
There you go. And
even times you're going to remove it.
King D wants to know, when are we going to see Josh shirtless again? We do have playlists, and we have the vlogs on a playlist now, and all these shows will be on different playlists.
Shirtless playlist.
Yeah, well, he woke up. One of the vlog videos was, him waking up in bed. Yeah, so that's that's there's a little social media data for you guys. Any video where the video starts with a person in bed, no matter what the context is, gets 25% more views. So there you go.
All right, Joshua is streaming in the Discord in a Speedo with pit vipers on, drinking a mojito, full porting mantra.
There you go. You gotta get in that Discord if you want to see the crazy stuff. Link is in the description.
And DZ Raw. How about Ray Dalio? Everybody is now got some new info out here. Ray Dalio urging Bitcoin or gold. Says fiat is on a slippery slope. So fiat, we kind of described this last week. Fiat, if you don't know, it is a promise from a government to have a piece of paper to have value with nothing backing it besides their promise. What would you say is the real thing backing fiat? TJ? Force.
That's the definition.
Threat of violence.
It comes from that's basically the Latin derivative of the word, means basically you're using it because they say so. But yeah, the main reason, the other way people will say it is, what's backing the dollar is the U.S. military. You use it or we blow you up. It's
also it's like a Picard quote here. Let it be done. Fiat translate. Let it be done. aka like make it so.
Yes. Yeah.
They're saying, hey, I want to buy that cheeseburger. You better make it so. Otherwise, they're going to come in with their full force. And it also works on 2 different levels. So, you kind of talk about aircraft carriers. Are one level of force is like determining the value of the US dollar, but that's just for abroad. What about internally? What about, regular citizens just trying to buy a newspaper and a cup of coffee? The threat of force against the normal US citizens, because we don't have an aircraft carrier pointing at us like, you better use dollars to buy that Starbucks. What we have is a mandatory basically law that forces us to pay taxes. You must pay taxes with those same pieces of paper that come more and more worthless. If you don't pay your taxes, they will use force to lock you in a cage because they have a monopoly on violence.
Well, and it's even beyond taxes. It's like
ask Wesley Snipes. Sorry.
They force you to use, like try to open a business and not accept dollars. Like they won't let you do it. You have to do it.
Legal tender.
Right. You're legally required to do it. So if you don't do it, they can put you in jail. If you don't, it's basically banks. The internal way they do it is banks and airports and licenses. They won't let you drive, they won't let you fly, and they won't let you transact. And that's how if you don't play within their rules, they'll just cut you out of the banking system. So that's
I carry 2 pieces of paper. One's from early 30s, one's from the late 30s. I have boomer eyes, so I could barely see it. Maybe even 20s. I'm not sure. But these old pieces of fiat, if I don't know, we can't really punch into more. I can kind of cover my face. So, but you'll see on the bottom here, I'm looking at the screen, $10, $5, and look at the $5 payable. Will pay to the bearer on demand, $5. But if you look there, we'll pay in silver payable to the bearer on demand. So it went from silver to basically nothing. And then, of course, in 1971, sorry, looking at my grill there, 1971, it's worth nothing. You know what, TJ? I think I'm going to do a video today. I think I'm going to go back. I might even bring up, I'm going to bring up Ray Dalio. I'm going to bring up Nixon. And I'm going to bring up what they're doing with the fiat system today, because a lot of people just kind of need a refresher on what exactly is happening to the dollar. They're devaluing it. And Ray Dalio says you need to buy hard money, gold or Bitcoin. Yeah, they called it a silver certificate back in the day.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting, I mean, absolutely agree. I think we do need a video that kind of reminds people of what the problem is that Bitcoin is solving. I was actually at a party this weekend trying to explain to somebody, they were asking about Bitcoin, like, oh, you know, is it a good time to buy? And like, even though the prices are up, and I'm trying to explain, like, yeah, pretty much, you know, like I had people telling me the prices were at all-time highs in 2017, that maybe now is not a good time to buy. In 2021, maybe now is not a good time to buy. But, you know, I've come around to, like, if you're trying to save, just put your savings in Bitcoin. It's really not that complicated. And people really don't understand how bad the dollar's been inflated, not just since the 70s, but since 2008 really is when it went super drive. But also saw an article this weekend. This is just interesting. You know what minimum wage was back in the day, but like when, you know, the 60s and 70s, when you'd come out of school, you get minimum wage, you go earn on it. You know what that would be buying power equated to today? Like what minimum wage?
I mean, I'm not sure entirely, but I've seen that a minimum wage job you could afford a mortgage, you could afford a vehicle, and you could raise 1 or 2 kids.
Yeah, it'd basically be the equivalent of making around $60 an hour today. That would be what minimum wage would need to be to match inflation, what minimum wage was back then. It was crazy. So, but what's substantial about this 15% number that Ray Dalio is giving, and we're seeing this coming from more and more and more financial giants, that kind of what they say kind of converts to all, you know, financial planners. It used to be like 2%, 3% allocation is what they would say. Now that it's up to 15%, like that, if a lot of the money in the world were to allocate 10 to 15% of their wealth towards Bitcoin, that sends Bitcoin to these crazy numbers that we're talking about. That's $1 million Bitcoin very, very quickly, because 15% from some of the wealthiest people in the world is trillions and trillions of dollars. So that right there, those kind of numbers are very bullish for Bitcoin, and people listen to what he says.
All right, we do have the smart chat. DeFi ran a gold, silver, and rare coin shop. I got some rare things on sale, stranger. He would say to you every time you walked in, you're like, I just wanted to buy some silver.
That is cool. That's Crypto Vet, guys. If you're not in the Discord, he's the one who does our workshops with BTC Boomer in there for the DeFi kind of mastermind. But also check out DeFi Crypto Airdrops, one of our other channels where they're giving you all that alpha as soon as it comes out. We were in the black hole token like literally the day it came out, and go look at that chart.
All right, real quick, just to come back, folks, we're at an inflection point. All right, Disco fan, we need you to smash that like button. Smash the like button before Bitcoin falls below this level, because then we're going to be looking at a new liquidation zone. Maybe we go to the 1 hour. We can kind of get some ideas here. So you can see these are 1 hour candles. We're sweeping this range right here. Looks like maybe it goes a little bit lower. After that, we're probably looking at this 117 range. So you got to smash that like button, folks. Let's. Someone says I'm getting poorer by the minute.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably all in that case. Maybe something's gaining here for the past hour. We have story. Yeah, we're all getting poorer by the minute, folks. All right, let's go back to Ray Dalio. What is this man saying? This maniac just trying to talk you into being wealthy, folks. So Ray Dalio, of course, urging Bitcoin or gold, says fiat's on the slippery slope. He said this on CNBC. So a lot of traditional, minded people watching this. It was the Master Investor podcast, that there's a shocking $37 trillion shortfall that will make global financial markets unstable. We've talked about the $37 trillion in debt, but this is a serious warning. He believes that the issuance of another $12 trillion in debt over the next year could undermine confidence in the fiat systems. I'll say this, I don't know how likely this is, but if we go from 37 to 49 trillion in debt, that's when you're going to see very, very quick $1 million Bitcoin. That's when you can see Bitcoin maybe in the $1 million in the 2020s. And I know that sounds crazy, but I believe in my heart, if we really devalue the dollar, that's inevitable, not even possible. We have someone Injective integrating Sharp Bank, or is it Sharp Link?
Yeah, Sharp Link stock onto. Yeah, so this is kind of interesting. I saw funny posts about this because Injective, including basically tokenized stocks. So if you look at it's pretty circular. You create a blockchain asset, right? Okay, and then on this asset, we're gonna have a company that's now a security that's accumulating this asset. Now we're going to turn that security into a synthetic security on top of the same blockchain that it's accumulating. And it's very, very circular. Is it interesting? Sure, it's interesting to me that we're getting these synthetic stocks on chain anyway, these X stocks, so to speak. I think that is very good for anything on the stock market to do it. I do think things like Coin and SharpLink and obviously Robinhood leading the charge on some of that stuff. It is macro interesting to me. It is Injective fulfilling what they set out to do. I think it's bullish for Injective, but it is just somewhat funny when you consider okay, Ethereum is a blockchain. Now we've got a regular security accumulating this commodity. Now we're going to take this security and tokenize it on top of the thing it's accumulating, and it does kind of turn into a circular snake at some point. But
all right, people are talking about silver here. I wanted to show the 1 minute chart. Folks, you did it. You did smash that like, didn't you? You smashed that like, you rapscallions, you. So you can see here the power of the Disco fam lifted Bitcoin. But look at silver on the 1 minute chart. Silver doing pretty well here. Looking at the daily, that is, all right, maybe a little healthy correction here. But if we go way back, you can see, I think this is going to have the historical data. Yeah, this is an asset that can move like a meme coin almost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking we get new all-time high silver in the next 12 months. Looking at this,
silver's been on a crazy. It's been supposedly manipulated for a long time, held down by JP Morgan and them. But it's on a generational breakout right now. If it clears some of these levels, gold, it could kind of what do they say? Reprice itself very accurately. And all these people, my brother, my dad, Robert Kiyosaki, that's been talking about silver since my whole lifetime. Maybe about to get paid.
It's just, I'm looking at these low levels, 2018, 2017. I mean, silver as low as $14, but I mean, right here you get Bitcoin for 14,000.
Mm-hmm.
So Bitcoin overperforming a little bit, but silver's going to catch up. That's my prediction here, at least. Now, speaking of Ray Dalio, that takes me to the next point here. Pompliano just in. He's telling CNBC, the same channel now, America will announce that it's buying Bitcoin and that Wall Street will capitulate. It will happen, matter of time. Now, this kind of goes to two schools of thought. So there are people who are certain that the U.S. government is going to market buy Bitcoin, or OTC buy Bitcoin, or hey, Adam back, you got another 10,000 lying around, go ahead and give me 10,000 Bitcoin here, I'll give you a fair price. Or maybe Roger Ver, you no longer want the authorities hunting you down, give us some Bitcoin. But there's also people who think they'll never buy Bitcoin. The best we can hope for is civil forfeiture, aka a criminal has it on a laptop, then the government confiscates it, and now it's in our Bitcoin stash. Do you see a world where we purchase Bitcoin, TJ?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
What kind of timeline are you thinking here?
That's the big question. Definitely not this year. I think maybe next year, but probably pretty low likelihood, and potentially 27.
Sorry, my knot's not good enough.
Yeah, but I think it's inevitable. I think it's more kind of like what Pomp is saying. It's game theory, essentially. Either if they don't, they lose. And so you have to adjust. We already know other nations are accumulating it. And again, the signal for all other nations has been El Salvador. They've been accumulating and they've been climbing the ladder ever since. Their wealth is growing and growing and growing to where they might be able to pay off all of their national debt. And then you're going to start to see more and more of these nations that don't have any debt and are still growing and flourishing. And if you don't get on board, you're going to get left behind. And that's what's so powerful about the game theory of Bitcoin, why I'm so bullish on it right now, to where I don't care what the price is. I don't care where things are going. When I have extra money, I'm putting it in Bitcoin. When I have new money, I don't care if we're at all-time highs. I'm on the Michael Saylor approach. Anytime I make a significant amount of money, it's going into Bitcoin and it's staying there as long as I can possibly leave it there.
Now, Shake and Bake bringing up something important. There's also this $1,000 taxpayer bonus that goes to a newborn. They can cash it in when they're 18 years old. Imagine we have a system that allows Bitcoin to be that $1,000. I think every newborn in America having $1,000 of Bitcoin bought for them the moment they turn or the moment they're birthed into this world, that would be a tremendous buying opportunity.
Huge.
And that would be, in a weird way, the government would be buying Bitcoin just on behalf of the children, the churn.
And that would be an amazing thing to see for once, the government do something that helps the people for the future instead of hurts them. But I agree with this essential comparison here that Steve just made, Steve-O. A lot of companies refused to create websites in the 90s, and the vast majority of them went out of business. And I feel like that's basically where we're at with nations and Bitcoin adoption right now. You don't have, if you're one of the major ones, you can drag your feet on adopting it a little bit. But if you refuse to adopt it over the next 10 or 15 years, you're going to become obsolete.
You know what I always thought is the first Amazon?
What's that?
Sears. Sears had, I mean, I was going to see like historical stock price like back in the day, but yeah, there you go. Sears had the Sears catalog. Sears catalog was Amazon. There wasn't an internet, there weren't computers, but you would get a catalog in the mail and you're basically browsing Amazon for things to buy. They had a perfect chance to lean hard into e-commerce. Given their history, they chose not to.
Well, and they also had huge brand and huge, like everybody would have thought that was a business that's going to hold up forever. So also a couple thousand, we got about 4,500 people watching across different platforms, wherever you are. If you could smash that like button. Obviously, we're on YouTube, X, and Rumble. If you're on X, reshare it. If you're on Rumble, heart it, I guess. I don't know what you do on Rumble, but I know there's not much sharing there. But
I did not realize SPX was doing so well.
Oh, yeah,
looks like we could potentially have a little bit higher to go. I don't hate this as a possible target for SPX. These are daily candles we're looking at, and SPX brand new all-time highs just a few hours ago. Now market pulling back a little bit, but I remember people saying this one's going to $1, thinking like, I don't know, because they're rejected right there, 96 cents. It's just a meme. Boom, shot to $1.80. Boom, shot past $2. People say $10. I don't know about that one. Might have to look at the market cap here. Where is SPX? It was one of the biggest gainers.
Yep.
Look at right here.
Yep.
Market cap is already $2 billion. But for reference, this is a nice little exercise I like to do for people who think, oh, that meme coin can't go higher. When you go to Dogecoin, you click on market cap, you click max. Dogecoin was 80 billion. 80 billion.
SHIB is 8 billion right now. And I would say SPX would be the SHIB of this cycle. I think SHIB would just continue to fall, but
Pepe still, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think I like Pepe, but I do think SPX is one of those community driven for the most part. There's not a ton of huge insider wallets left still, which is what you need. You need it to be somewhat organic and out across where all the insiders are out. Yeah, 80 billion is crazy. But 8 billion for SPX in this market seems achievable. Which is
I've said Pepe probably going to take a lot of the market share and the mind share from Shiba Inu, and Fartcoin is also going to take a lot of mind share. We traded all our Shiba Inu into Fartcoin. Don't know how long ago it was, but I think we're doing pretty good. I mean, Fartcoin. All right, this is Shiba. It's up 20% on the month. Down for the week here. Let's just go to Fart. Pretty sure I've been quite happy with this strategy here. 30-day, it's up 27%, but also down on the week there. So it's not been a good week for most meme coins, except for SPX 6900. Steve-O is right. All right, let's talk about some accumulation of Bitcoin here. We're talking about governments buying it. Everybody wants to buy it. You should buy it. But Marathon, they're mining it, and then they want to buy more. They're mining Bitcoin, and instead of being a good miner and taking it to the market and dumping it to people like Michael Saylor, whom we're going to talk about right after, they're buying even more Bitcoin. They already have 50,000 Bitcoin. This is a publicly traded company, and I think JP Morgan just upped their stock, moved them into overweight, meaning you need to have an overweighted portion within your portfolio. Steve-O, get out of the old meme coins, get into the new meme coins. Now, Michael Saylor, this is going to look like a joke post. It's not even going to look real. He actually posted this. Amplify the orange.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot of those like AI ones. I like it.
I would totally rock that suit. It's a little Dumb and Dumber, but I think it's way cleaner than Lloyd's.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's definitely about his 70s Bitcoin. If you This is where what we should have been doing
what
in
he
the
was doing in
70s
the
instead of Bretton Woods 2.0.
Now, new Gallup survey. This is actually the first Bitcoin survey that I maybe have locked. Gallup survey, Gallup. We could talk about that. They go politics, maybe not so good, but Gallup found 14% of Americans own Bitcoin. This is going to be roughly 1 in 7. We're still so early. 1 in 7 actually maybe sounds right to me.
Yeah, that's why I pulled that one. I know most of those ones you see, you're like, I don't believe that one.
But blockchain.com asks people in email, and 80% of people have crypto.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not right.
Yeah,
That's not right.
Somewhere, I think it seems that could be a little on the low side in my opinion, but it seemed 14 to 20% maybe. That sounds about right to me.
Chat, what do you think the actual percentage? So you say maybe even higher, maybe 1 in 5 people.
Yeah, if you start to include, it depends on probably how they're measuring, but if you start to include IBIT, if you start to include, some exposure to any, if anybody.
Tesla stock is probably the more popular one, a little bit of Bitcoin. A lot of people own that stock.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that owning Bitcoin per se,
Okay.
For the survey, but depends on, if anybody who ever bought Grayscale, if anybody who, and maybe that's a better question, is it anybody who's ever bought it or anybody who currently owns it? So, but yeah, it seems about right. Either way, the point is there's still time. There's a lot of upside. I think that's why I'm frustrated I've been doing this for about 8 years. I've been telling everybody, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. It's changed mine. It can change yours. And I've never seen anybody buy it and hold it for an extended period of time that I wasn't very happy about it. I've never seen
a lot
anybody.
of people buy it, sell it for something, change their life, buy a house, buy a car. And then they were like, I still regret it.
Yeah, I still should have. Well, exactly. And I see tons of people telling me all the time, saying, "Oh, I missed it. I missed out. I'm too late." And it's, would you were
So
just
buy
talking
Bitcoin
about it
cash?
What's that?
So I should buy Bitcoin cash?
Well, exactly.
How do I get the next Bitcoin? There is no next Bitcoin.
Exactly. It's so frustrating to try to tell people yes, it's at an all-time high right now, but it's going higher. And I know you maybe don't understand how and why yet, and I would encourage you to do your own research. Obviously, most of you guys that are watching this show, you guys do get it. But if you're a retail person out there and you don't understand, you can read the Bitcoin Standard and Lawrence Lepard's The Big Print. Those 2 books right there can teach you a lot about what's coming. If it sounds crazy for us to say $1 million Bitcoin is possible in 2029, just go look at how much money they've printed since then. You're still extremely early. 15% or 14% of Americans own Bitcoin. It's way smaller if you go outside to the rest of the world, and especially if you start considering the percentage of wealth in the world that's in Bitcoin. It is inevitable. It is game theory at this point. It's unstoppable. So if you want to save for retirement, if you want to improve your life over the next 5 or 10 years, if you're not trying to get rich quick, which I know a lot of people are, but if you said, I want to get rich slow, but I'm going to get rich, and you just keep buying Bitcoin, it will pay off. I've never seen it not pay off.
All right, I'm going to give me 1 second here. I'm going to show you the money supply. I found we're just going to look at M2 money supply. So I got green vertical lines every decade. All right, this is the 50s and 60s. All right, you don't expect too much of a change, right? Let's go ahead and stretch this. All right, all right, we're getting to the hundreds of billions. Then in the 60s to the 70s, the 70s to the 80s, well, something happened in 1971. Maybe I'm going to do a video on it tonight, so make sure you have on those notifications. Then you can see we went up to 1.6 trillion by 1980. Well, what about the 80s to the 90s? Oh, we started printing a lot more money. We went from, the 1.6 trillion. Now we're above 3 trillion when we're talking about our M2 global money supply. This is the amount of money, the amount of dollars floating around in the world. Then in the 90s to the 2000, we had another jump. We went from 3 trillion. Now we're knocking on the door of 5 trillion, 4 and some change. We keep printing more money. Well, what about after 2000, 2010? Holy crap. Well, you look at that. We went from 5 trillion all the way to 8 trillion. We got to shrink this y-axis now. Now we're almost doubling a decade. Well, let's go into the current, since 2010. What? Wait,
Yeah,
what?
it's going freaking vertical. What? It's insane.
Wait, what? Buy Bitcoin.
Now you see why I'm freaking out. That's insane. That is insane.
That's insane when you look at it that way.
Yeah, and it's going up straight up right now. It's a runaway. It's not stopping. They're going to print. 5 trillion more in the next year, and then 3 more spending bills after that, trillions and trillions and trillions. And again, that's why we do that example of the difference between $1 billion and $1 trillion. I mean, it is just a straight up line, and we're on the path to universal basic income. People are going to be getting paid. You're going to get airdropped money. That's the first time they did it in 2020.
You're coming out of the womb with money.
Yeah,
you're coming out the womb with money.
Exactly.
Like you literally have $1,000 in cash. If that's not hyperinflation, what is?
That's what they call helicopter money, guys.
You must throw Monopoly money in a child's face to see if they cry instead of smacking their backside.
Yeah.
Would you do that?
Bro, what'd you say?
Bah, just smack, because you got to lift a baby up. You got to smack him in the backside to make sure, he can breathe and everything. Just smack him with Monopoly. Just smack him with $1,000 in ones, just like he's a stripper in Atlanta. Just like, bah!
Oh, wow.
Buy Bitcoin. That's what I would say to that baby. Buy Bitcoin, stupid. Stop crying.
You know what's hilarious? My daughter, she just turned 2, has been walking around saying, I need more Bitcoin. I need more. I have a video of it, of her saying it over and over and over and over. I need more Bitcoin. So she gets it. She's set up.
Is
and
that, I'm just being funny. That's you and the wife arguing about bills.
No, the truth is
finances. We're not buying that. I need more Bitcoin.
No, she watches the show is what it is. And so she hears me tell people you need more Bitcoin. And so she says, I'm dead serious.
No, I'm laughing. You're right. Those two words shouldn't be in the same sentence.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. Look, sometimes I have good analogies. Sometimes they go off the range. Okay.
Yeah.
They go off the reservation a little bit. And that's why you're in the disco fam. You just got to take the good with the bad when it comes to DZ here. All right, let's keep talking about Bitcoin here. One of the fuels for $1 million Bitcoin is the super cycle, or at least extended cycles. Bitcoin up year is 2026, according to Bitwise executive here. So could see huge upside next year, bucking the tradition of a 4-year market cycle. This is according to Matt Haugen. I think that's how you say it. He said the 4-year cycle is dead for several reasons. One, Bitcoin halvings becoming half as important every 4 years. I'm not going to get into it, but I have my own thesis. It's actually even less than half as important every four years, and the interest rate cycle being positive for crypto. So we got the halving, it's just not nearly as important moving forward. Now, also since April, Trump has been publicly pressuring Jerome Powell to cut interest rates. If so, this could be a bullish catalyst for Bitcoin, as lower rates make traditional assets like bonds less appealing to investors. They look for risky appetites or risky investments because it's a risk-on environment. Now, here's a quote. The long-term pro-crypto forces will overwhelm the classic 4-year cycle forces to the extent those exist, and that 2026 will be a good year. What does this basically mean? He basically means the 4-year cycle is created when miners and the whales dump on retail. Said now they're not going to dump as much, and he has a pretty good analysis on this. He says the price rally will be steady rather than aggressive, a sustained steady boom. Here's the predictions were based on when whales accumulate, you sell when retail joins, but the pattern no longer holds. Last cycle, whales sold to retail. This time, old whales sell to new long-term whales. Institutional adoption is bigger than we thought. Retail is going to be paper-handed B words, okay? But now we're no longer selling into these paper hands. We're selling into institutions that are going to diamond hand. And so we might see an extended cycle. I don't hate that thesis.
No,
I've been saying Q1 26.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to even look at even longer cycles. That's more with the global debt cycle. That's more with the election cycle. But really, I mean, it's Matt Hogan. He did a whole post on this, kind of retweeting their thing and breaking down his own analysis. And another thing he was saying is the movement of assets into ETFs. That's a 5 to 10 year trend, and we've seen that play out plenty of times with plenty of other ETFs. That's a trend that started in 2024, and so I think a lot of people are talking about a lot of people looked at the gold chart and the Amazon chart and what happened after gold got an ETF. There was some accumulation, and then it went on like an 8-year bull run. There's some theories for that for Bitcoin.
Yeah, we did videos on that. When it came out, we basically predicted the first 2 months with like pinpoint accuracy for Bitcoin after the BlackRock ETF was approved, or Wall Street ETFs, because it did the exact same thing gold did. So yeah, that's a good point, TJ. Maybe you'll also do the exact same thing for the next 8 years, because definitely did it for the first 8 months.
Right. And if we're talking about, again, the richest people in the world allocating 15%, nations allocating towards it, nations accumulating it, none of that is short-term mindset, which is part of why I'm trying to get you guys. When I say get rich slow, by the way, I'm not talking about 40 years, like what they try to make you do with the stock market or a 401k. I'm talking like 10 years, maybe 15. But say like, hey, if you're 30 now and you want to be able to retire when you're 45, just stack Bitcoin, you'll be fine. If you're 40 now, or even that's what I'm saying, if you're 50 and you're worried about your retirement, you need to be allocating some to Bitcoin. And it's going to absolutely, like people that have been doing that for the last 6 years, it's absolutely changed their their retirement trajectory based on that. I know somebody who's been just DCAing into Bitcoin since even I think the absolute peak in 2021, and they just buy a certain amount every single week, and they're up dramatically, way more than their 401k. So it's just take your time, zoom out, slow down. And now is the best time. It's always the best time to be getting more Bitcoin. Anytime, like again, I thought I was being smart when selling the top in 2021, and like DZ said earlier in the stream, I deeply regret it. Wish I just held on to everything. And the longer you can, if you need to take some profits to change your life, buy a car, buy a house, pay for something for a family member, do it. Absolutely. That's the whole reason.
But you're probably going to regret buying that car,
but it's going to be
real estate.
But
it'll change your life.
Yeah, it's going to be an expensive car. It's going to be an expensive house, and you better really love that family member. But that's why we do it.
All right, let me read a couple of things from the chat here. I got paid minimum wage $3.35 an hour working at McDonald's. When they were 14. That's Mama Shed.
That's Mama Shed. So the equivalent of that would be minimum wage being about $60 an hour right now.
I was $5.15 at Chuck E. Cheese. Everybody, so that was mine. Over the weekend, I saw somebody got arrested at a Chuck E. Cheese in the Chuck E. Cheese outfit, and they were like, wasn't in the ball pit.
No, it was it was credit card fraud. They were taking him out in handcuffs, and there was the clip of the guy actually getting arrested. I almost sent it to you, but
they do make the new employees wear the Chuck E. suit.
Yeah.
Okay, I wore it one time, and I was too tall. The Velcro ripped. My pants fell around my ankles. I had work pants underneath the Chuck E. pants. But I was in front of a bunch of.
Let's just
move forward here. Anyone listen to the Sean Ryan, Brian Armstrong podcast? I saw a clip where Brian Armstrong actually brings up the Fed. So maybe I'll tie that all in with tonight's video. And if you like Trump, we'll do the weave. Okay, we'll do the weave, everybody. All right, let's talk about ETH, everybody. This is you. This is you. Wakey, wakey. Said the ETH holders who bought at 4,300 ETH, time to get out of your slumber, everyone.
That's what we thought until Trump said he was going to tariff the world. But maybe later this week. That was
my sentiment 2 hours ago. Thanks, Trump. Now, we do have some fuel for the fire here. Over $1 billion of shorts are going to be liquidated if ETH goes to 4,000. Operation Liquidate Bears now in progress. I just like the naming. We got to have a name there.
Sign me up for that operation.
Let's market buy $10.
All right.
All right. Now, also, a bunch of ETH has been withdrawn from the crypto exchanges in the past month. 1 million has been withdrawn. And a lot of this is, I'm not going to get the article here. It's just the appetite of Wall Street and the institutions. And in fact, SharpLink bought another 300 million in ETH. And I only threw this so we could read this headline. More than all the Ether or Ethereum that was issued last month. Ether is the coin. Of course, Ethereum is the network. So ETH is, created by people staking it. And these validators who stake, they get a little ETH reward. SharpLink's buying more than what's being issued. We saw something similar with Bitcoin, with the institutions, with Michael Saylor, etc. That led to one thing, higher prices. If everything stays the same, obviously ETH is going to have a supply shock. Supply and demand, it's like the only thing that really matters in economics. At the end of the day, supply and demand is going to catch up with Ethereum, folks.
Yeah, and essentially, just to keep it real easy, when you see an asset going onto an exchange, that can be bearish. When you see huge amounts of assets leaving the exchanges, that's bullish because there's no selling pressure. So,
all right, a lot of people, started out, food service, making small amounts of money. TJ, what was your first job?
First job, working for my, real young, working for my parents' home stuff. But I mean, I'd say at 14, this was a job. I did some tree work during the summers with a friend's dad, and then first job that I paid taxes on, 16, Outback Steakhouse, busboy.
No rules, just right, including child labor.
Yeah, that's right. And hey, it even rhymes. But then, and then I also cleaned parking lots at the same time. So I worked a lot, like 16, 17, 18. So.
Right, getting the grind in. All right,
Yeah.
Why? So he could eventually buy Bitcoin once it's invented.
That's right.
All right, let's talk about CZ's wealth here. nuts. This guy has just hit 75 billion as BNB is breaking new all-time highs. BNB has just been crushing it lately. When the token hit 850, he's now worth at least $75 billion. It makes him definitely one of the world's richest people here. Now, according to Nansen here, now, why is it pumping? Well, token burns, rising chain metrics, and whale activity. Now, CZ, I knew BNB or Binance had a lot. CZ had a lot. I didn't realize he had so much more than Binance. CZ has 64% of the circulating BNB supply, while Binance only has 7%,
Jeez.
meaning the CEO has 89 million tokens. Now, we talked about this in February. He said 98% of his portfolio was in BNB and only 1% was in Bitcoin. What I said at the time was, well, probably at one point, 99% of his wealth was in Bitcoin. Then he created BNB, then, probably like 50-50. The BNB kept gaining, and, Binance obviously outperformed Bitcoin in a short amount of time here. So now he has $1 billion. I mean, you can do the math here. 75 billion, 1.33%, basically $1 billion in Bitcoin, and yet only 1% of his wealth.
Jeez. Yeah.
That's a flex.
That is a flex.
That's a flex. Now, you ready to throw Solana under the bus?
Okay.
Well, I'm not, but the founder is.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
Founder calls Memecoins and NFTs digital slop in a heated debate here. He's Anatoly Yakovenko. We have done a deep dive in the beginnings and the origins of Solana. Go watch that if you haven't seen it. But he's sparking controversy after referring to meme coins and NFTs as digital slop, despite the substantial meme coin-driven revenue. We're going to look at the numbers right after this. I've said this for years. Meme coins and NFTs are digital slop and have no intrinsic value, while comparing the crypto tokens to loot boxes and free-to-play mobile games. People weren't so happy about this. It was him and Jesse Pollock, the creator of Base, arguing over whether meme coins and NFTs have value. He argued that their value is derived through market-driven price discovery, while Pollock countered, no, there is intrinsic value in the content itself. The content itself is valuable, just like a painting is fundamentally valuable, regardless whether you charge people at the museum to see it. Is NFT intrinsically valuable in your opinion, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, this is getting into a little ticky-tacky definitions and all that sort of stuff. They were basically arguing. Anatoly was coming after Zora, which is something that has performed very well on Base. Definitely something we should have jumped on when it first came out. They're trying to do content creation, monetize content creators. I think it's a really good thing that Jesse's trying to do. I've seen a lot of these attempts over the past. I can get there with the Jesse Pollock's thinking on this stuff. Intrinsic, I think, is where people get caught up of like intrinsic value versus does it have some sort of value? Yes. Is there some value for creativity? Sure. Why all of these, why do meme coins exist and have a value? Because they get traded and because there's some, because they do is basically the answer. They have value because people deem them to have value. Is that sustainable? That's another discussion. Should they have value? I think that's what's really interesting to me is a lot of the intellectuals like to get into the discussion of what should and should not have value. And that is where I think they're getting totally lost because it's not our job to decide what does and doesn't have value. The market does. So
beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Well, exactly. Well, and so is value, right? And so if the market says it has value, it has value. If somebody's willing to pay for it, it's worth what they're willing to pay. That's just the definition of, in my opinion, of how things have value. That's why certain things rip. It's they can go up, and so they do. But am I going to be holding a token that's tied to one piece of content for a long time because I think this is going to have value 10 years from now? No. But if you want to play with some of these new technologies, speculate with some of them, you can definitely make money. Like I said, if we had jumped on Zora early on, I think it's up 10x in the last few months. Like that just shows there's always opportunities in crypto. There's a lot out here. And I think another example I saw was somebody talking about the stock market, for example. There's tons of just trash that's publicly listed companies. They're not good companies. They're not going to maintain their value over time. They're just trending down. There's the top 5 to 10% that create insane value for the world and create insane revenue. But the large majority of what's traded publicly on these markets is trash, and so I think we're going to continue to see this trend go on, especially when we have the currency debasement that we have. that's really the driving force behind people speculating on sneakers and cards and meme coins and all these other random, what do you call them, collectibles. Are they really that valuable? No, but they're creating a secondary market that is valuable. And so,
yeah, but Charizard's Fire Blast does 120 damage, TJ. So I just got to have that Charizard.
right. Well, I think what it really highlights is how non-valuable dollars are.
Yeah.
And it's basically like almost anything's more valuable than a dollar.
Yeah, and when you have a currency that devalues, you kind of want to just blow your whole paycheck every Friday. So this is just going to have more value for some of these hard assets. Garbage can have value. One man's trash is another man's treasure. I'm gonna get into the pool guys question 1 second. I just want to show you the Solana metrics here. So this is Syndica. It's like the DeFi llama for Solana. Memecoins accounted for 62% of the app revenue last month. That's a new all-time high. And Memecoins is the purple. And so he's like, yeah, bashing Memecoin. Memecoins suck. Meanwhile, it's, as of last month, 62% of all the revenue for the Solana validators there. Number 2 looks like it's the orange one. That's going to be Dex's. Wallets also generate some fees for Solana. And then I was surprised, look how much Telegram bots make there. So maybe we'll do a Ton Coin video as well. We probably do a Ton Coin video this week. It's been a while since we talked about Ton, and seeing that makes me, I didn't realize it's separate entities. I didn't realize Telegram bots were doing so much on Solana.
Yeah,
I guess it makes sense.
Tons of trading. A lot of people that are meme coin trenchers are using Telegram trading bots. So shout out Crypto Crow. We see you out there.
Yeah. We're going to try to get him on for an interview. I got to shoot him a message. We can schedule something. So we'll set that up. Everybody go follow Crypto Crow, the tallest Chad in crypto. Winklevi, move over. All right. There's a new tall Chad in town. His name's Crypto Crow.
I want to say this was him. There was an interesting thing you've been asking Grok. People have been asking Grok some really interesting questions, like analyze all my followers and tell me who's most likely to be a Fed plant. And I want to say Real Crypto Crow was on. I can't remember who did. It might have been Joe Calasari. His name was on. I don't think he really is, but and I don't know if he would tell us if he was. But Michael Saylor wasn't on the list. I don't know if he
does have the deep voice of a CIA handler. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's the voice coming in your, I'm not going to say anything, but I don't want to get us demonetized. All right, we have an American Pool guy when he's not hustling some side chlorine here. Would you say it's better to DCA into Bitcoin now or the top 20 alts, ladder out and buy Bitcoin with the profits? I'm going to be in today's environment 6 months ago, 12 months ago, I'd say 50-50. Now I'm leaning, Bitcoin, you could probably cut that down to 25%. I would put 25 cents out of every dollar into Bitcoin. I would put 75 cents into the altcoins. At least 50 of that would be like, it would be the strong, it would be like the chain links, the avalanches. If you don't have Solana, get your Solana exposure, maybe some Cardano exposure. So I would do a little bit of a mixture, but I would go a little heavier alts. What would you do, TJ?
Yeah, I mean, we are in that part of the cycle. If you believe everything we're looking at with data, that we're going to see a very bullish Q4 for altcoins. If you don't have it kind of depends. It's really hard to answer these questions when you don't know somebody's overall portfolio and kind of what their goals are. But yeah, new money coming in. It's never a bad time to slam it into Bitcoin. That's what I always say. But if you're looking for a tight window where you might outperform Bitcoin, it should be the second half of this year. A lot of altcoins, like you said, the top 20s we're looking at. I mean, you just showed what is on Solana, which was interesting to me. The number 2 thing was DEX related activity. And that's what I hold on Solana, Radium, Jupiter. And then, obviously Black Hole and Arrow is Avalanche DEX, Aerodrome is a base, Ethereum DEX play. And we've done extremely well with all of those things. And thanks for the shout out here. Join us in the Discord and have TJ. Yeah, we do member reviews. If you are a paid member of our Discord. So a lot of our Discord is free. If you're looking to trade, looking to learn, we got tons of good information in there. If you do sign up for the paid version, I do one-on-one portfolio reviews with our members. And if you can show me your whole portfolio, I'll break it down. We'll help you make some goals and kind of follow a plan. That's one thing I like to do because there's 1,000 different ways to do it. You want some revenue generating part of your portfolio. You can use some DeFi. I'd even consider looking outside of straight crypto assets at stuff. I'm really bullish on MSTY right now. So, which is basically just options trading on MicroStrategy stock through YieldMax. So there you go.
The Tramp. He's saying alts are done. Won't get anywhere near what they were in December. I think the ETH flows just strongly disagrees, and then that will cascade into other altcoins.
I would ask
my
that guy,
short thesis.
Yeah, what data do you have that's backing that up? Because I don't see anything like that.
Yeah, Wall Street's appetite is just increasing, not lessening. All right, well, folks, that is our show for today. I'm gonna go work on. Is the Federal Reserve basically destroying the dollar? The short answer is yes, they are stealing your wealth. Bitcoin could be the only hope. So we're going to put out a video on that. We'll throw in some Sean Ryan, Brian Armstrong clips, and I'll probably throw in that Pomp clip as well. It's just people need to know what's actually happening. Is Bitcoin isn't so much as going up, although it is, your dollar is going down. And so this would be a good video to show to your family members who just don't quite get it. So we'll make the video so they do get it, folks. Hit that like button on the way out there.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you